Hi there, I'm Ken Lammers. Welcome to Minor League Matters. And today we're going to talk about changing the strike zone in baseball, something that I think may really need to happen. And let's talk about why. People talk about it has to do with statistics, right? And people talk like sabermetrics, which has come around in the last 30 years or so, slowly come around to all the teams. Like it's a brand new thing. Oh my God, we're using statistics in baseball. Well, baseball's always been the statistical game, right? It is, we've always had earned run averages, saves, win losses, uh, batting averages, that sort of thing. Uh, these were old fashioned ways of trying to do sabermetrics. But your modern sabermetroids have really pulled this out to the point that a lot of times you feel like you're dealing with lies, damn lies, and statistics, right? Uh, for instance, let's talk about WAR, right? Wins above replacement. And amazingly, everybody seems to have a positive WAR. I've never really seen anybody say, well, no, John Smith has a -2 WAR. If they got rid of him, they'd have somebody else in here who would get them two more wins. Okay, and it would seem that at least half the players in MLB should have negative WARs. However, I may not have a complete understanding of this theology, so uh, I'm sure people will be able to explain to me why it's wrong. I don't buy into war, and I think a lot of people don't buy into war, and here's why not. Because there are so many variables that would impact war that if you tell me that John Smith playing first base wins a team 8 more games a year than the replacement for him would, I'm going to look at you and go, there are 8 other people on that field. Well, actually, there are 17 other people involved. And if you're in the place where they have that obscene rule about batting, the pitcher not batting, you have 19 other people playing. There are 19 other people or 17 other people providing huge variables in that. As well as, at least 2 of those players are pitchers who are going to rotate day by day, and so more variables. Strikes me as wins above replacement is just it's a teamish type stat, too far too influenced by other people and things that are going on that are not controlled by that person. So I don't see that as a particularly useful stat. And I'm sure there are people out there who will be happy to tell me in the comments how terrible I am and I don't understand math, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, fine. I think you're dealing with theology because that's the way you all do it. However, having said all that, there are some useful statistics that come out. The on base percentage being probably one of the most useful and impactful ones that has come about. Uh, Previously, people dealt with batting averages. If John Smith had a good batting average, he was considered a great player. Nobody cared how many times he got walked. Walking was a bad thing. It and it is a bad thing because it makes the game less interesting for most people. Uh, Guys like me who watch every pitch and are like, oh, inside, outside, oh, the ump got that one wrong. You know, that might be, it can be interesting. Your general everyday person who's just kind of there watching a game and doesn't get to a game every day of the week, but gets to one every month or two, or maybe a couple times a year. That is a terrible thing to have batters sitting on the plate and just trying to get walks and being passive. And the batters are more able to do this, I think, than they were in the past, partially because the umps are being held to a stricter standard. It used to be, if this kind of silliness was going on and it was obvious that John Smith was just going to sit there and just wait, and the whole team was going to sit there and wait out, the ump could decide that the strike zone was going to go, 4 inches wider or something like that, right? and make them become aggressive and make the game become more exciting. And the problem now is with the computers and the videos and all that, where they can see exactly where the pitches go, and they can really call the umps out for not getting it. At the very least, on the inside outside strikes, the umps are really constrained. This is probably a good point for me, a good point time for me to say exactly what the strike zone is for those of you who don't know. The strike zone is over the ball, over the home plate, left to right over the home plate, and it is also between the lower nook of the knee, a little in depth, or that little nook in there at the bottom of the knee, to halfway between the top of the shoulders and the belt, basically. Um, so it is very hard for umps to widen the strike zone left and right now, inside and outside, because the computers sit there and go ping, 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 you missed, right? And they can, if you want to keep your job and your bosses start holding you to that standard, you're going to hold that standard, and batters know it and can afford to be more passive at the plate just to get on base, right? Now, we have in the last few years seen more play up and down. MLB's reaction to this has not been good. Last year, I think it was, maybe it was the year before, they tried to move the bottom of the strike zone up like 2 inches, right, to the top of the knee. I don't know what they thought they were accomplishing there. They're worried that too many low pitches are being called strikes, and therefore they're unhittable, I guess. And obviously, the problem here is that an ump is that strike zone, top to bottom, is going to change with every single player, and going to change potentially every single time the batter steps up to the plate, even if it's the same guy, because if he leans forward, of course it's going to change where the top of the zone is because his shoulders have dropped and his belt is, as he's leaning forward, do you count the top of the belt? Do you count the belt that's leaning forward? What do you do? How much has he bent his knees, etc., etc.? It's the top and the bottom are places where the pitchers can work, and umps are going to be making more subjective calls. Now, the problem we've got here is the batters, because on base percentage has become the king of the percentages, and the batting percentage, or really, or batting average really is not the thing to look at now. Everybody looks at on base percentage. It encourages the batters to be more passive. The batters know that generally, because of the modern day things that are looking in on the umpire, at least inside and outside have become stricter. The umpires have to call it more, more tight to the plate, so the batters can be more passive. And to be honest with you, putting a person on base is something you need to do to try to win the game. If you can get 4 walks and get a person across the plate, that's the same as a guy getting a homer or 2 guys getting doubles or whatever. You get 1 person across the plate, and putting the guy on first by a walk is a good thing and tends to lead towards more wins, right? So on base percentage is a statistic that, while it is a valid statistic that would be something that helps teams to become winning teams or have more wins, is a bad thing for the game in that it causes passive batting and causes general fans to not enjoy the game as much. How can they fix this? Well, my thoughts are, A, leave the low end of the the strike zone alone. Let it be the indentation at the bottom of the knee. Fine. But move the top end. You can't really move the plate, right? Unless you make it clear. I've heard some umps say it's only the white side part of the plate. I've heard some umps say it's the white and that black outline at the outside of the plate, whichever. You could make that clear. But I personally think that they should raise the strike zone to the top of the shoulders to that indentation under the knee. Will this cause batters to get a lot more strikeouts? Yes, it will. Will it move the game along quicker? Yes, it will. Will it cause batters to have to become more aggressive? Yes, it will. Because it will give pitchers a lot more space to put the ball in there, right? And with that space will come an inability of batters to be as passive as they are right now. And that's a good thing. And for those of you who will tell me how terrible it is to have high balls and all this sort of thing, garbage. That's garbage. Recall that Ted Williams and those of his ilk loved high pitches. This is what they wanted. They didn't want these down pitches that all modern day batters want so they can actually golf swing and try to hit the ball 900 feet on some sort of loop. Ted Williams, probably the greatest batter of all time, wanted high pitches. He wanted them across the chest. This is where he thought was the best place to hit the ball. And hard to argue with Ted Williams. People of his age thought that was where the ball should be. And we really ought to be giving the pitchers more of a zone to go up and down like that. And I think that would make most of our batters more aggressive and would make the game funner. That's just my opinion. If you like what you saw here today, hit like. If you like what you see around here generally, hit subscribe, then hit the notification bell so that you get notification all the time because, well, let's be honest, YouTube seems to not be giving people what they subscribe to anymore for some reason. If you want to contact me directly, at LammersK on Twitter, at LAMMERSK on Twitter, direct message me. If you want to, you can leave comments below. I do not promise that I will reply. I do promise I try to read everything. I will until I get enough people commenting that I get really obnoxious trolls. But up until that point, I'll probably just try to read, and I do try to comment back occasionally. But the day job interferes. This is a hobby. I love doing this. It's a lot of fun. But the day job actually provides me with money. And money's a convenient thing. Anyway, as I always say, if you got a little bit of spare time and you got a little bit of spare money, go watch some minor league sports. Y'all have a good day now.